Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning, and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to season 4. Oops, just dropped the mouse. And episode number 628 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. 100% Canadian. And yes, it's that kind of morning. Today, recording day is Friday, April 18th, 2025. And it looks like it's trying to be a good day here at the Beaver Lodge. I'm not quite sure if the sky is slightly overcast with very, very light white cloud, and it's just completely covered, or if that's actually light trying, but I'm not seeing anything actually blue. And I don't have that big white spot in the back like yesterday when the sun was shining bright and I looked like it was disappearing and like some blade was coming out from the side to come and eat me. So I think it's trying to be a good day here at the Beaver Lodge. A big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corbin Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. I got a packed show for you today. But before we do anything else, let's say good morning to Mr. Grizzly, my good friend who's with us today, and ask, how's your mental health doing today, sir?
Well, sir, how's my mental health? I'd say my mental health is probably pretty good, although my ire is up a little bit. And I'm sure you can understand why.
And the kids and cubs who watched our live watch debate party thing last night kind of predicted you might have ire today.
What?
It's a blue jacket day in the neighborhood, a blue jacket day at the Beaver Lodge.
We'll get to the post-debate scrum in a bit, but right now I just want to address the ridiculousness that is the official opposition leader blatantly lying to Canadians in front of all of his colleagues like he does in the House of Commons on the daily, where he has parliamentary privilege. But last night, one of the things that stood out to me, amongst a multitude of things that he said and did, the one thing that really stood out to me was insisting when he was housing minister, which he wasn't. Housing fell under the portfolio. He wasn't actually housing minister, number one. Right. So there's the first lie. The second lie is that he built 200,000 houses when he built 6. And during his tenure, there were not 200,000 houses built. So not only did he fabricate or inflate his number, but he fabricated a number altogether of what actually took place during that time period. And I had to turn it off for a few minutes at that point and just go back to the hockey game, because it was like, I'm going to throw my phone out the window in a second here if I don't do this.
Pierre basically took the totality of housing that was built in the period that he was there, whether he approved it had anything to do with it or not, but that happened to be built at that time, and claimed it as his, and even inflated that number because, as Mr. Grizzly says, 200,000 units weren't even built in that year, and he wasn't Minister of Housing for even a full year.
That's right.
So the 200,000 weren't reached. He wasn't there long enough to reach whatever was reached. He didn't approve any of them. And for what matters here is affordable housing,
Yeah,
right? Because we're talking in how, yes, there's an overall supply thing, but the rich can outbid each other.
And they
for
do
housing.
every day, all the
But-
time.
But when we're talking about affordable housing, it was 6, according to the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. But yes, there were more than 6 houses built in Canada that year, of course. So he's taking credit for all of them.
He's trying to say 200,000, and apparently there was only 42 houses during his tenure. 4,200 during his tenure. And he wants to say 200,000.
Yeah. The Toronto Star did a check, and then there's somebody else that did another check. I'm not sure in what order they came in, but the one that came across my desk has the precise number of 3,742.
Yeah.
So we have crowd sizes of 15,000 that are really 1,700. We have 200,000 houses that are really 3,742 to 4,200, depending on source, with only 6 of them being affordable. So like 4,372 homes that were responsible for being built under his tenure based on anything that he might have done.
Yeah. So
he wasn't there long enough.
Let me see if I can get this correct. According to him, when he goes fishing, he usually catches like a 30-pound smallmouth bass, right?
Mm-hmm. And what was that?
Because he doesn't want to brag, but he'll tell everybody he did.
And if ever he was dating on the internet.
Yeah.
Overcompensation.
I bet you he brags that he's what's the line from the Methods of Mayhem in the song Get Naked? I'm bigger than Ron Jeremy.
Jeez. God.
That was a Tommy Lee line, and actually in his case that's real. But
yes, in his case. Although, you know what? I have to admit, I've never gone to go check. I'm sure it's available somewhere on the web.
Oh, it is.
But I've never gone to go check. I just heard about the thing happen. It's like, oh, well, go figure. And I just went on with my day. All right. So essentially, Kits and Cubs, the show today should be strictly about the debate.
Yeah.
What happened in the debate and that type of stuff. The thing is, and I don't know, this might end up being a double beaver day, because I know Mr. Grizzly will have to go at some point. Because just getting through the debate is a show.
I do have to leave at 8:30, and I have several appointments today. So if I can commit to something this afternoon, I won't know until later today.
Yeah, but I'll be able to do it if needed.
Okay.
But I think here's hopefully we'll be able to get to do a little bit of both, so that people that came in this morning can get a little bit of both. But we might not go more in depth to the debate right now on this one, because what happened last night with the other stuff ends up being the story in one way. Now, the short form for the debate, for those who came here for that, before we go into it, is my Cole's Notes version of this really, really, really quickly, is that Carney last night did everything he had to do and then some, right? He was just very, very, very good, very solid last night.
And may I add to that, the rules of decorum?
Oh, yes.
Firmly observed by him.
Yes, absolutely. So
unlike Pierre Poilièvre.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So he had the energy, right, coming in more into the debate than he did in French, because obviously, more ease with the language. Right? So he had the energy, he had the plan, and he kept on laying it out. He landed some punches, some pretty good ones, got a touch prickly at one moment, but was able to pull it back and mostly kept calm and carnied on. For Pierre, if you're watching the analyses, I watched the analysis on CPAC. I watched the analysis on CBC, and then later on the national at issue. Everyone's saying that he did okay or did well. I must have been watching a whole other debate, because I did not see that at all. For me, it was a total implosion
That's for
on the
those
part.
wearing blue tinted glasses, I think.
But even Chantal Hiver and Andrew Coyne said like he performed well. So I'm not sure if it's whether or not like based on what they're used to seeing from him,
Oh, maybe
he performed well, but he did not perform well, like at
in
all
comparison to everybody else up on stage.
last night. Like not at all. It seemed that he knew there was a lot riding on it. He did not start out well. He had trouble getting the words out and having some flow at the beginning. And in the first few minutes, the first few exchanges where he was coming hard and trying stuff, nothing was working. He kept on getting smacked down. And you can tell after the first 10 or 15 minutes that he thought he lost it.
Mm.
And then he started panicking.
I'm going to speculate the reason they said that was they came in with really lowered expectations for him.
Probably based
and he
on the night
rose
before.
above that based on his history, based on the night before, and he rose above it last night. They're extremely low expectations.
Yes.
That's my guess. That's my speculation.
Yes. The previous night, like I said, he was effective, but not particularly memorable, not particularly energetic. And we were wondering on the show yesterday, or I was, if he was going to get some notes and be different in English, or if in French he was going to be trying to be statesmanlike because, you know, they don't know him all that well and he's trying to make this first impression. So he's putting on that hat. But in English, he's got to throw some red meat, right?
Yes.
The fans that go to his rallies are watching the debate to watch him, you know, land some roundhouses on that liberal, right? So would he still be the statesman from the night before the attempted, or would he go the typical Pierre attack dog? And he went typical Pierre attack dog, a little muted from what he does in the house,
Right.
but Pierre attack dog, and kept on running back to his rhetorical safety blanket as the night went on. At the end, he closed with broken in there. So you know it's bad when everybody's trying to tell you, please stop saying broken, and you end up reverting back to broken as your closing thing in the end because the night didn't go well for you, and you know it. And at the end of it, he had he was welling up a little bit. There was a tear of emotion. And you know me, when it comes to him, I'm cynical. And when I was commenting at the beginning, I thought, oh, there we go. He's going to try and emote now. And then he was talking. It's like, oh, wait a minute. That tear actually looked genuine. And I think it's because he knows his political career is over.
Could very well be. Could very well be. I mean, there was usually after a debate, a scrum, moment in the House of Commons where he gets his clickable social media link, I will see a lot of chatter online, folks going, oh, he kicked ass, he did it. I didn't see a lot of that last night or this morning.
I was fully expecting to wake up to Kirkland bought Lake Farms.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing it. So I think his dyed-in-the-wool fans, worshippers, cult, pick a term that suits his description. I think those people are realizing, yeah, it's over. It's done. He's finished.
Now, over the next couple of days, I would suspect if my read is what actually happens, I would suspect that from inside, there'll be a couple of other shots fired by Corey tonight before the campaign's over, and that civil war inside the conservative movement that's been a brewing and sort of bubbling over a couple of times during the campaign might just start to really overflow. Again, remember what happened to Andrew Scheer. Remember what happened to Erin O'Toole. I have the feeling that the same fate is in store for Pierre and Jenny.
Well, a lot of it, I think, has to do with his religious puppet masters, the PBCC, coming to the realization that he's not their man anymore. He may have been for a short time period, but he doesn't have the stuff.
Nope.
And there's nobody within that party that has the stuff that they want.
Yep. And the Venn diagram of the stuff that they want and the stuff that we as Canadian citizens want, sometimes it doesn't.
They couldn't be further apart. There's no intersection. Vast majority of Canadians, the vast majority of Canadians, religious or otherwise, do not want what they want. They want trad wives.
Yeah,
You know what
exactly.
trad wives are, right?
Yep. We had one on our show once.
She was a trad wife once, yes, and we actually
She's a very proud former trad wife.
and we had to take that episode down. Do you know
Yes, we
why?
did.
Do you know why we had to take that episode down? Because the former religious sect she was involved with threatened to sue us.
Hmm.
So we had to take it down. It's not erased. I still have the video,
Hmm.
but we had to
Once it's
take it
settled.
down to avoid a we had to take down the video and the audio version to avoid a lawsuit
Hmm. Yeah. Now there are.
because they didn't like being called a cult
Yeah.
by somebody who was a member of that congregation.
Yes. So, and so, you know, it's just us. So, of course, we complied. But yes, as Mr. Grizzly says, we were saving it because we are very confident. There are other judicial actions there, and we are very confident that there will be a resolution such that we will be able to put that show back up someday.
Well, it's effectively they threatened us with a slap suit, effectively.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the thing you need to understand: we don't take this lightly. We're not in a position to defend ourselves. We don't have, from a financial standpoint, from a legal standpoint. Can we defend ourselves for what we said and did that day? Of course we can, but I can't afford to go to court.
Yeah. Well, there was nothing about us in the
Nope.
slap suit, nothing about what we said. It was about what she said.
Right.
And you know, they wanted it taken down, so we had to. Now, if we didn't take it down, then it would be about us,
Yes.
right? Which is one of these
And
things.
she's involved in a lawsuit with them right now because they're basically hitting her with a slap suit.
Yep. Yep.
Which means she doesn't get to exercise her freedom of expression because a religious sect dislikes what she is saying about them after she left them.
Mhm.
So much for freedom of expression and freedom of religion. How about freedom from religion?
Which is also included, not explicitly, but if you're free to your beliefs, your beliefs can be non-religious.
Exactly.
Right. So all of that's going on there, right? We get to a Mr. Singh, and
I
in
thought he did quite well, actually.
yes, he did not. The one thing about this debate, as opposed to the French language debate, is that the time was definitely not apportioned equally.
No.
At the end of the debate, Mr. Singh and Mr. Blanchet had significantly less speaking time than the other two. Mr. Singh, for the person I believe who had the least speaking time, was a very, very big presence.
Mhm.
Um,
I think
I
he's
have
kind of like Charlie Angus at this point. No F's left to give.
that was literally the next words about to come out of my mouth. Jinx, buy me a Coke. Yeah, Mr. Singh literally had no fucks left to give and plenty of payback to handing out. He was handing out ass kickings and lollipops, and he was all out of lollipops. um, listen, um, maybe he got pissed with about what happened in the scrums and said, "You know what?" Maybe he said, "Listen, I can read the writing on the wall. This is my last big national audience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go out." But Mr. Singh made it his mission to be a constant and persistent thorn in the side of Pierre Poilièvre and Yves-François Blanchet. He did try it a little bit, a few times against Carney. It wasn't as effective for some reason. But all throughout the evening, people were wondering out loud. It's like, did Carney and Jagmeet have a little talk before? Because my God, Jagmeet keeps on saving Carney's hide, left,
Well,
right, and center.
I think he has a great deal of respect for the man, and probably doesn't feel he deserves the disdain he's getting, considering he's been in politics for how long now?
Yeah, a couple months.
As a politician, like what, barely 2 months.
Yes. As
So
he keeps on reminding us in the debate, I just got here, man.
yeah, settle down. And they keep trying to say you're just another Justin Trudeau. You're like, no, he's quite a bit different than Justin Trudeau.
Mhm.
He is clearly a progressive conservative
Yeah.
fronting for the Liberal Party. And I don't have a problem with this.
Yes.
I don't.
Nope.
Because, again, the key word there is progressive.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jagmeet Singh was the Wayne Gretzky of debate. The Wayne Gretzky prior to going to the LA Kings of the debate, with assists and assists and assists and assists.
Yeah.
Give the man a trophy. Oh my God. Again, Mr. Carney, if you are not taking Mr. Singh out for like a full 5-7 course dinner after this. Oh my God. I do not, like I said, I do not know what Mr. Singh's motivation was here at all. I cannot speculate, but it could be so many things. But listen, he does not have much love for Mr. Poilièvre, and he certainly does not have much love for Monsieur Blanchet, because let's face it, Mr. Singh has something on his head.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bill in Quebec.
Yes.
Out there that says that if Mr. Singh was a teacher, he wouldn't be there. And that bill actually is like, people in positions of authority. Well, he's the leader of the party, and let's say he were to be prime minister, he certainly would be in a position of authority with that thing on his head. And Mr. Singh has heard Blanchet talk for years and years and years about alleged secularism, because you have to be afraid of the thing on his head, because the thing on his head somehow has the magical powers to make him an instant proselytizer. Right? It's not what's in the heart that makes you somebody that wants to convert someone. It's what's on your head.
Yes.
And therefore you must be denied access to employment because of that. So you can understand how Mr. Singh maybe not like Mr. Blanchet all that much.
So I have the continent of Africa around my neck and in my ear. This was a pair of my mom's earrings. If I was wearing a crucifix around my neck, I would totally be allowed to teach. If I wore a scapula, totally allowed to teach in the province of Quebec. But if I was a female or a male, if I was sick and I wore a turban, no, that you can't have that, because that's a religious symbol. I'm like, well, hang on a second. What about a nun's habit? Nun's habit is very similar to a hijab. And you have Catholic schools across the province of Quebec.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the nuns at the Catholic schools are forced to wear the habits anymore.
No, it's a choice. It's a choice. Yeah,
but if it's a choice,
in a long time.
But if it is a choice, like this, you are in the situation of someone that's in a position of authority, wearing an ostentatious religious symbol. So I'm not sure how. I can't speak to how it's applying to Catholics in Quebec. I don't know if it really is one law for all that way, and there's no exception for like Catholics in Catholic schools or something. So that I cannot. And Muslims, and if there was like some Muslim school specifically education, I'm not sure if those are exceptions, because I could see how a charter could make that an exception.
Yes.
Right. If the Muslim community opened a private Muslim school.
Well, they have private Jewish schools. They do have private.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Then maybe you're allowed.
Yeah, because they're not provincial. It's a private, and you're funding it with your membership.
Yeah. But you're still in a position of authority as a teacher, right? So that's what I mean. So I can't get into the intricacies of the law that way, because I've not known how it's applied. I don't know all the regulations. But the overall principle is that people that wear religious symbols that are ostentatious should not, and cannot be trusted in any way, shape, or form to be in a position of authority, because they will try to convert your kids or convert you. You're like, So you can understand that if that's someone's basic belief, how Mr. Singh might have a problem with that person.
You think?
And if he was going out the door, might have a couple of parting gifts.
Why would
to leave on the way out? So Mr. Singh definitely made himself a thorn in the sides of both Monsieur Poilièvre and Monsieur Blanchet last night, and repeatedly prevented them from doing what it is they were trying to do. Now, whether or not this was Mr. Singh jumping in, I guess whenever he could, and thought he could be effective, because he wasn't getting as much time, and had to make a big splash, because these were all things that he did need to do if he's trying to save the furniture, particularly in the debate in English. Because remember, the NDP, I think of the 24, 26 seats that they have, they're pretty much divided British Columbia and Ontario. And I think there's like 13 or 14 of them in British Columbia. And in the regions in Ontario, the sort of unionized regions, a lot of the battles there are really red, are not red-blue, but orange-blue. Yes. So he really has to take those swings at Poilièvre if he wants to save those seats. Right? So there is an actual strategic motivation. This, but again, Monsieur Poilièvre for the longest time has been calling him sellout Singh and a communist and all that kind of stuff. And now he's got the little minions, as we saw in the legislature in Saskatchewan, trying to label him a terrorist, right? And that thing from Rebel News yesterday, that question that came by and said, well, people in India, said you were a terrorist. Like what makes you different than from those people that want to imprison you? He probably did not swallow that one well. Like this and says, I know where that question came from, you fucker, as he's looking to Pierre Poilièvre.
Well, right? I mean, and you have to remember too, his response is, I'm not answering any questions from Rebel.
Right.
You're not a news organization. You're a misinformation and a disinformation and a shit disturber. But he didn't say shit disturber, of course, because he's too polite. But they're agents of chaos. Mm-hmm. They are the people dividing this country because they aren't a news organization. They are a mis and disinformation campaign that is designed to slant the public opinion away from the truth. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. There's a comment here from Kit John here. There are no Catholic and Protestant schools in Quebec anymore. They dropped confessional schools a decade or two ago. It's true. I had forgotten that. That's true. I'm like I said, I'm just not sure whether or not the law permits denominational private schools, or whether or not even that falls under the secularism law and then nobody can have it. Because if nobody can have it, that's one thing.
Because
everybody's treated equally, and then I'm good with that.
When I graduated high school in Chicoutimi, Saguenay, Lac-Saint-Jean, in Jonquière, technically Arvida at the time, Arvida, Jonquière, Chicoutimi, L'Abeille, it's all like one big community basically. When I graduated in 1986, there was a Catholic school, St. Pat's, and I went to Saguenay Valley High School, which was technically a Protestant school, and my mother wanted to send me to the Catholic school, being the card-carrying gold member Catholic that she is. And we went to see the schools, and we walked through the Catholic school, and we looked at one another, and we walked through the Protestant school, and we said, that's where we're going, because the Catholic school was, I thought the building should have been condemned. Oh, and so did my mother. It was like, we went to see it, and it was filthy. Like they had not cleaned it in some time, and this was in the summer when we went to visit. This was in August when we went to visit.
So not a high traffic air time.
It was filthy, and it was old and run down, and like whatever. It was a Catholic school, so that board obviously didn't give a damn about that school, because the building was probably 80 years old at the time, and it looked like nothing had been done to it since it opened. So I ended up going to Saguenay Valley High School, which... see that ring? It says SVHS. And I used to tell people, Sweet Valley High School. And they go, really? I go, no. And then when I sold audio video back in the 80s, I said, no, I got this ring because I was the first person in the world to sell a Super VHS machine. They go, really? I go, no, not really. It's my high school. It's now called Riverside School, and the Catholic school is completely gone. That building, I think they tore it down. It was in such bad shape.
But that's true. I had forgotten that Quebec had, and I had mentioned it on the show in the past too. So I can't believe I forgot that. But yes, that Quebec had gone non-denominational for. It's at least
I
it's,
didn't recall that. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that because there's a push to try to do that in Ontario too, which
has
not yet happened.
Yeah, it's not going to happen anytime soon. There's too much money involved.
Yeah, really. Mr. Singh left some parting gifts, and then there was Monsieur Blanchet, and yesterday, I mentioned in French that I sensed that there was something off. I didn't see too much comment about it, but there was one other person I was listening to, I believe was a NDP, a pundit for representing the NDP side, noticing that it was the same thing, that there was something about his performance that was off. He just seemed like a little frustrated or something. Yesterday, Mr. Blanchet was also on a mission, and the mission was to go fishing and to try to bait somebody into saying something that he could take about Quebec, and then run around the province for the next 10 days and say, look at those Federalists, or look at those ones. They just don't understand us. You got to vote for me. I'm the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But poor Monsieur Blanchet, either the format, because when they were starting a question and ending a question, they would be each asked an individual question and give like a couple of seconds. So Monsieur Blanchet would try to launch an attack but then the next question would go to the person he was not attacking, and it would be on another facet of that issue, and then the thing would just die. Or he would do it at the end of a block of a theme, and they had to move on to another theme so nobody could respond. Or then he did it, and then Mr. Singh decided, no, I'm talking now. So he's going after Mr. Carney, and then completely changed the thing, and then the moment was lost. So Monsieur Blanchet tried all night long, and you could tell because right at the end, Mr. Carney was saying something, and then you see Monsieur Blanchet goes, "What? Yes, oh," and then again it was like near the end of it, so it went nowhere. So he had one goal: go fishing, find something with which I can nail myself to a cross all throughout the rest of the campaign, and saying, oh, Canada will never understand us, and you need to vote for me, a bit like what happened last time with Sachi Curl, like handed him a gift. He did not get that last night. He did not get that. Carney won. The first night there was no winner. There was people could say Carney didn't do himself any damage, and he's the front runner. So by not having done himself any damage, he wins, right? But it wasn't like a run. But this one had drama, had moments. This one was definitely a popcorn debate. If you brought your popcorn, you would have liked this one. There was lots of substance. You got a lot of things about planks and policies and that type of stuff. But there was some good one-liners, some good sort of a clapback, some good, just shutting that down moments in it. So definitely worth watching. Was definitely juicy. Was one of the more entertaining ones to watch in a good while. But it really was one adult in the room and three party leaders who knew that if they didn't perform well, that it's possibly the end of each of their political careers.
Oh, yes.
And them really debating to save the furniture.
Well, I think Yves-François Blanchet is on his way out.
I think so.
Poilièvre's career is finished. Jagmeet, they're going to lose seats. Does he maintain his? I don't know. Maybe after last night he will. Last night I thought he did really good last night.
Yeah, but probably
he still embellishes and gets a little hyperbolic about some things. But the one thing I want to highlight for you, if you haven't seen this, well, you watched the thing, so of course you saw it, but maybe you missed this. Maybe you didn't. This is just a quick clip I'm going to share. It's like 8 seconds. It's really quick, and then we'll jump right back. But this is, I thought this was interesting. How the interpreter, not the interpreter, but the
moderator?
No, the what's the word I'm looking for? The closed captions. There we go. Closed captions. Misheard the word, but this is what it sounded like.
The secret security clearance briefings that I would be gagged under the security law, and I could be prosecuted.
So he said gagged, but in you didn't see it in that one, but in the closed captions it said I would be gay.
Gay.
That's what they heard. I heard what he said, but if you could misinterpret that very easily.
Yeah.
Because he kind of, I won't say he slurred it. He just didn't pronounce. He did not enunciate in that particular moment.
Yes.
So as a result, a lot of people went, did he just admit? Did he find the handle to the closet door finally? I'm like, no, that's not what he said.
No.
But I can see how you could hear that because it kind of does sound like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was a unique moment, if you will.
Indeed.
Like, what? What did he say?
That's when you're listening to song lyrics and you're thinking, did they just say
What did I hear? Yeah.
Go back. All right. So,
Well, and in regards to that, he's,
yes.
I just want to get, and then we jump off.
Yes.
This is from Gator Gum. It's somebody I follow on the Twitter. She has some great takes and does her work. Whoops, there we go. And this quote, tonight, Poilièvre said he had his security clearance, then followed up saying if he did it, he'd be gagged. It's not possible for both of these things to simultaneously be true. In reality, these are both lies. He doesn't have his clearance.
No,
It's long since expired.
he does not have it at all.
At
all.
It's every 5 years for top secret. And during that time period of 5 years, if you have a significant life change, like get married, you have to go back through your screening again because they have to investigate your spouse.
Yep.
That is the law. Those
Yep.
are the rules. So when he goes on Ben Mulrooney's radio show and saying, well, I had it in Privy Council, I have a security clearance, and Ben just let him say that and did not follow up with, but didn't that lapse? Didn't it? It's like he gets away with the lies and people enable him. And that is what pisses me off.
Yep. You're right. And on sorry. I had a thought and it just like it went zipping away out.
That happens sometimes. I hate it when
But
that
you mentioned something because I had a fact check point on it. Yes, the security clearance thing. As we mentioned on the show several times, listen, I'll say it again. And I got the chance to do it during the live show yesterday because being able to post little things on the bottom makes it very convenient and easy to do real-time fact checks.
Mm-hmm.
So security clearance, let me remind you, kids and cubs, that we know of publicly, there are 5 levels of security clearance. There may be more that we do not know about, but publicly, we know that there are 5. Top secret, the one that Pierre said specifically in the debate that he had, is level 3 of 5. It needs to be renewed every 5 years. There are 2 levels above that we know of, the highest level being secret compartmentalized information. That is the information that's the level that you need to be able to go into the skiff and see stuff like the NCCOP report. That's the level that Madame May got. It's the level that Monsieur Blanchet got, and it's the level that Mr. Singh got, and they were all able to go in and talk about it. It is the level that all members of the NCCOP committee get, and there was another lady that used to be an MP, or maybe is an MP and used to be on NCCOP, that turned around and says, listen, I was sitting on NCCOP, I got that clearance, I guess, and I've been able to talk, right? And let's make it clear, as I said yesterday, there is nothing that Pierre has said to date about that, because it's all been untrue, that he would not have been able to say.
Correct.
Had he seen the report, because the Secrecy Act does not forbid you from lying about what it is that you saw. It forbids you from disclosing what it is that you saw.
So he would not be gagged. He could continue to spew the same lies that he's been spewing all along.
Right. So he's been a cabinet minister about 10 years ago. So he would have had to have it renewed at least twice by now, if it was just top secret. The higher the clearance, the more frequently it needs to be renewed. So SCI maybe needs to be renewed every 2 years or something, right? Or maybe every 60 days, who knows? But it needs to be renewed more frequently. And then, as Mr. Grizzly mentioned, major life changes, like getting married, for example, brings it on again. Right?
It's all right here in writing. Appendix B, security screening model and criteria. Validity period for top secret is 5 years. Secret clearance, 10 years. Reliability, 10 years. But the following table describes the standard enhanced, and it's like security circumstances and or security interview. It's all here.
And that's just for top secret.
Correct.
For SCI, it's even more.
That's right.
That's why it took some time between the time that Elizabeth May and Mr. Singh and Mr. Blanchet sat for their initial interview and the time they actually got to go into the skiff. That's the amount of time it took them to do.
And the thing you need to understand about going into a skiff
and they were doing that on the double.
The documents you read in the skiff do not leave. Those documents that you're looking at, that's where they remain.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take those out. Now, somebody else is authorized to go and lock them up and put them in a secure storage facility. But you can't walk out that room. You cannot walk out of a skiff with a document in your hand. You can't go into the skiff with a document, a pen, a pencil, a phone, no recording devices whatsoever. They lock all that shit up, and they do check you, because I've been in the skiff. I've done work in skiffs. They take all of that from you. So,
Yeah. Exactly. So
I have higher clearance than he does.
So Pierre,
and I'm unemployed.
so Pierre's lying. Just plain lying.
Incapable of telling the truth.
Right.
But he's a narcissist, so he believes everything he says because he's right and you're wrong.
Yep. And Mr. Carney, there was a time near the end of the debate last night where leaders were given a chance to ask everyone else a question. And how you could tell that Carney was winning the night is that all three opposition leaders asked a question of Carney, which give Carney a case of a little bit of the giggles. And at that point, Carney turned around and said, well, I guess I'll ask myself a question. But then asked the question of Poilièvre that everyone wants to know: why do you not have your security clearance? And then Poilièvre just blattered out whatever his answer. And again, he got praise on the shows like this. He said, "Oh, I can't believe Carney asked him that question. That's the question that Pierre would be ready for." And he just gave an answer. And he was, "Yeah, but it's still the same. It's still a bullshit answer."
Yeah,
a bullshit answer delivered smoothly is still a bullshit answer. It's like, oh, well, no, he delivered it, or probably didn't stumble on that. He had the answer ready to go and all that. Yeah, but it's
a lie.
Still bullshit. Right? It's like, can we give points for the content and not just the delivery? Okay, 10 on delivery, maybe. If you want to give that, or maybe an 8, even if you want to give that. But on validity and truth, 0.
Look,
so let's put both grades together, lower the average, so that's maybe a 3.75, and say he failed at the question rather than just commenting him for delivering a bad answer.
What's the old saying? If you can't dazzle them with diplomacy, baffle them with bullshit.
Oh, see, now you got me going to show tunes again. Give them the old razzle dazzle, razzle dazzle. I need the showgirls in the back though.
So let's get to the meat of what we want to talk about before I have to leave. The reason that the scrum was canceled.
If you will, allow me to do. So yesterday,
and I'm going to grab a coffee while you're doing the setup. I'll be back in a moment.
So we remember the debate in French, the Federal Debate Commission ended up being the story because they made 3 mistakes, right? One, they didn't check the hockey schedule to see if the debate was going to be against hockey. Because had they done that, they would have known it was the last match of the regular season. Maybe would have picked another day, another time. And then waited till the very last minute to make an accommodation. Well, first of all, made an accommodation on time based on a very last minute request. So a couple of parties lobbied for it because it would present, yes, a public interest if people wanted to watch both. But really, it was their own personal interest masking as a public interest, and they caved. Right? And then was the thing about the Greens. And even though they had the party lists for a whole since the 7th, and they met all the criteria at the time that they put the things in, and then no longer met the criteria, and then decided to tell the Greens on the day of the debate, when they know that the Green strategy here at the moment, right, was to give Jonathan Peddo, this new leader, an opportunity to have a national stage so that the torch can handle. And they killed it. So not only did they kill their ability to participate in this debate, but they killed this party's ability to grow for the next 10 years in that one move. And again, word on the tweet is because 1 or 2 parties went and complained at the end, saying, hey, they don't meet it anymore. You got to boot them out. And they caved. Rather than saying, at the time we made the decision, the deadline is the time we made the decision. And even though things have changed now, we're not going to go back at the decision. At the time we made it, they qualified. Boom. And we didn't write any special rule that if you don't qualify after the time we make it like this, we're booting you out.
Wasn't it, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because I understood that the reason they caved to allow them in was they just got sick of all the emails and the threats and the possible lawsuits, and they were just fed up with them. Like, fine, go, just
That's
to
the
shut
rebel
them up.
stuff. That's the rebel stuff. That wasn't
Yeah.
the green part, but that
Yeah.
was to let the rebel stuff in. And then what happened with the rebel thing is, first of all, they let them in, and which was a caving again, because anyway, let them in the cave, and then they said, well, we have people from 5 divisions, so you got to give each one of us that. So they gave one a pass to each one, but then everybody turned around and said, hey, what about us? So they gave the same amount to all of them too. Now all of a sudden you have 5 times the number of people wanting to ask questions for the same amount of mic time, and it's first come, first serve. So what the people from the rebel did is that they showed up to the press room about half an hour before the scrum was supposed to start and took up all the first spots.
Yes. Just and again, they petition them, say, you got to let us in. We're a media you're not a news organization. You're not journalists. You've testified to that in court.
Right.
They have no right to be there. They have no more right to be there than you or I do.
Yeah. So for yesterday, the CBC broadcast started with an interview with Michel Cormier, who's the chair of the Federal Debate Commission. If you ever had the concept of, like, when they talk about when they talk about Carney and David Johnson, they're up there in their ivory tower and they're elitist and all that. That's Michel Cormier. If you see this interview, right? And I don't know if we have time. I don't remember how much time you have, so we might skip that one to see the other stuff.
Out at 8:30.
Yeah, so I'll show it. I'll show it later. But in this interview, again, very haughty. The debate went well, and that's what matters. Yeah, but there's the debate itself for the people that were there, but everything that happened before and everything that happened after, which was also your damn job, did not. But the debate went well, so all is fine. But all wasn't fine because they had announced that there would be new rules for the scrum this time around. So clearly it wasn't all fine. And one of those rules is that the questions would be limited to 20 seconds, so you couldn't do these 2-minute speeches and no follow-ups. Well, Rebel did not like that.
They did not like that.
Little Missy would not be told no. So they stomped their little foot and they decided that if they can't have it, that nobody else can. So they made themselves disruptive in the press room several times. It seems that there were some
I need to speak to your manager.
Yes, near mic. It seems that during the CBC broadcast, they tried to interrupt and they had to cut the things because David Cochrane had made a statement that Ezra Levant decided was libelous and wanted to fight him on it and threaten during the broadcast because, as David Cochrane mentioned later on, because that's what journalists do, go onto other journalists' live broadcasts and interrupt them to resolve issues.
Well, here's
right?
Here's the tweet from Cochrane that you sent me, sir. So,
yes.
Rebel News, Ezra Levant defends his outlet's presence at the leaders' debate. The CBC wanted us kicked out. We're not leaving.
No, the CBC didn't want that.
We were playing a 60-second report when Ezra accosted me. He wouldn't stop. So the control room in Ottawa kept playing tape to prevent the incident from being carried live on there. The debate commission wouldn't take action because we were in a commercial. We weren't. I'll scroll down here. So this was allowed to continue. We had to scramble to cover the incident by playing tap until it was over. No proper professional journalist intentionally interrupts the broadcast is what I meant to write there, I believe, or work of another professional journalist. We were inside an RCMP swept security perimeter today for our job, and the Montreal police has to be called. And we had to sneak out of a building we owned and with the help of security to get home safe. See you Friday at 5 p.m. live on CBC News Network.
Can't wait for the show tonight.
Let's look at this clip here.
What's can do?
You mean third-party advertisers, Ezra? Can you talk about the $180,000 you're spending to do advertising, voter contact, both through For Canada and into Rebel News Network Limited?
See, you're wrong on that, and that's what concerns me, is that For Canada is a different group that was registered.
It's paid $170,000 to Rebel News Network Limited. Isn't that not true?
You're getting your facts wrong, Justin, and I want to make sure you're careful.
Yes.
We were actually talking about the CBC, who want us out of here. The
No.
CBC want us kicked out.
Lie.
We're not leaving.
Lie.
The CBC were outraged that Mr. Cormier let us in. The CBC had 4
Lies.
questions yesterday. Rebel News had 4 questions yesterday. The CBC thinks that's normal, and it's abnormal that we
Again, baby. Talking to you about your accreditation, asking questions, or was it about the incident here right now, just earlier?
It was about neither. It was actually about what's his name, the bald guy in the CBC, David Cochrane. Yeah, I mean Cochrane wanted me kicked out. I ain't leaving.
No.
Cochrane's really thin-skinned. I talked to
No.
Rosie
No, he's
Martin,
not.
too. I
He's a
invited her
Newfoundlander.
to challenge.
The guy's hard skin of a lobster.
That's him being thin-skinned. Now, notice that was Justin Ling asking him a question because it seems that there is another group, can't remember the name, it was mentioned there, that was started, that's actually intervening as a third party, also owned or operated or registered by Ezra Levant or something, and that there has been interaction between the two groups to try to create this feedback loop. So again, because that's what journalist organizations do, is run a parallel third party
Yeah, that's
campaign
normal, right?
and then use it to feed each other for content. Right? Okay. So then you notice he turns away from Justin because he's asking too many pointed questions. Oh, you got your facts, I got you, and then turns to someone else and says, "Oh, the CBC wanted us out." The guy, David Cochrane. David Cochrane was doing a live spot.
Yeah, he does a David.
He didn't have
Carson
time to
redirects.
advocate for you to be out. He didn't see what happened in the room. There was an altercation in that room, in the press room.
And I have it.
Like there was several things, right? There were shouting matches, debates, but apparently there was a physical altercation, like somewhere near a mic in that room. I don't know if there's any video of that, but there's video of journalists versus these people in the room sniping at each other, and it was extremely tense.
Well, and I'll show you the clip here in just a sec, but here's the funny thing. So Rebel News posted this clip online.
Yes.
Trying to make themselves look good. It really backfires on them, and it's still up. That's the thing. Like, you guys just shot yourselves in the foot. You know that, right? You're not painting yourselves in a good light. But they're dyed-in-the-wool cult supporters.
Oh, you got him. You got him. That's great. Here's another $50.
Yeah.
You showed them.
This is 4 minutes and 4 seconds, and it starts with Stuart Benson from the Hill Times.
Yep.
Just watch this.
They're doing to him what they tried to do to you, actually.
That's why they got the 4 questions, because the commission... You're making that up. You're lying again. When did the CBC get 4 questions? Yesterday. Yes, after they had already told it to you because you threatened to sue. You're lying again. I'm not. Because you're like, don't you have a third-party advertising truck to go take care of? How much have you spent on third-party advertising this election? Between Rebel News and For Canada, companies you own both of, how much money have you spent to influence this election? I'm assuming in favor of the Conservatives. How much have you spent? Like, you're a journalist, you must be honest. So, Rebel News Limited, you've set up and registered under Elections Canada. Everyone else, you can go to Elections Canada right now. Every third party is registered. Search Rebel News For Canada, and you will see clear as day, Ezra Levant as the owner of both of those companies. He has third-party advertising trucks driving around this venue right now. It's owned by Rebel. It's owned by you. Oh, sorry. The truck is For Canada, which is owned by you, which is separate from Rebel News, which is also owned by you. You want me to pull up the website? I can go one by one. Control your emotions. So, I'm just enunciating. You're out of control.
He's trying to get his clips.
Quietly doesn't make your
And he'll fundraise off this.
completely out of control emotions. And your facts are completely wrong.
All right,
and
let's
embarrassing. What's your name? What's your name? You're suddenly shy.
No, I'm Googling.
You're Googling your name? Tell us who you are, tough guy.
Stuart Benson, Hill Times.
Student Benson, well, you're a disgrace to the Hill Times. And your facts are wrong.
You're a disgrace to journalism, buddy. Shut up. I can do the job of one of me can do the same job you clearly need 5 reporters to do. So am I the disgrace, or is it all of the people you needed to do the job I do by myself?
You just gotta control your emotions. Out of control.
Rebel News Network Limited, March 27th, registered with Elections Canada, name of applicant, Ezra Levant, mailing address, Edmonton, Alberta, T5JOK4. I wonder where that would have been. T5JOK4, I wonder what that post was.
Well, you certainly got a tiger by the
Let's go check out Sports Canada. I wonder who they are. Am I talking too loud now, or should?
No, you don't understand. You don't even understand what you're looking at.
What work are you doing? With nothing in front of you. Oh! Yes. The really exceptional work you're doing.
Is she telling you you're out of control emotionally? Tantrum boy. I'll call you tantrum boy.
Because this is what journalists do, right?
Yeah.
And now he's being escorted out.
Oh, and look at one of his minions trying to act like he's being handcuffed.
Yep. Hands behind the back.
Yeah.
Lifted his hand on the way out, though.
Yeah.
R slur. You don't like the F slur, but the R slur, you're finding that one.
So as they were walking out the room, they used the R slur because, but of course, when they were referred to as fascists, then it was in case of emergency clutch pearls. But then they walk out of the room and then they use the R word.
I'm going to say this. What I'm about to say, you draw your own conclusion. But if Kian Bext or Ezra Levant are walking towards me on the street, they better cross the goddamn road. Because I will tell them exactly what I'm thinking.
Okay. So you will exactly, Kit, exactly. I like this here. Ezra reminds me how my ex fought with me. You notice that? You're out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Get your emotions under control. What are you doing? Googling your name? Is she coming over to you to tell you that you need to get yourself under control? No, she went there to tell him, like, we're going to be escorting these fuckers out.
Yeah.
So, but that's gaslighter and abuser talk right there.
Yeah.
That's very creepy.
Ezra's
like, he's filming it. He's enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
His nipples are hard, right? As he's filming this.
If he could rub one out in the room under the table, he would.
Yep.
Yeah, he loves it. He lives for this shit. Honest to God, if they see me coming, they better cross the street, because I will get in their face and tell them exactly what I think of them. And they can make as many clickbait articles as they want. I don't give a shit. I'm going to tell you to your face exactly how much of a piece of scum human being you are.
Mm-hmm. Now, they tried to do what Stuart Benson and what those people on the street tried to do to you when you had that blue jacket thing. Tried to film him being righteously indignated about something and say, I'm going to make you go viral, baby. And by adding all this fake context, oh, you're out of control. Why are you doing that? You've got it all wrong. And Ezra Levant, of course, you got it all wrong, but you notice that Ezra Levant never tried to set the record right. Never said how Mr. Benson was wrong, how his numbers were wrong, how his facts were wrong. He never said that. Mr. Benson is laying out the entire case of how this whole thing is corrupt. He's laying out all of
yes.
Ezra Levant thinks he's doing something great there, but all the information that Stuart Benson is all true.
Look it
up. He's giving you the paths. He's giving you the codes to go look it up yourself.
It's all there.
And Ezra Levant is like publishing that, thinking that he's like spiking the ball. And listen, he's going to fundraise a lot on this. There's no doubt about that. Yes. But there could also be no doubt whatsoever for the Canadian public that there's two different types of independent media, right? There's the independent media, like what we're doing,
The
like
walrus,
this,
the
like the Walrus is
Tyee.
doing whatnot, guys, that actually without that, now the Walrus and whatnot, they're actually journalists,
Yes, they
right?
are.
Because we're not, but we're at least trying to hold ourselves to some minimal journalistic
The
standard
truth.
of
The
some
truth.
kind.
Facts, period. Facts
Yeah.
and the truth. That's it.
But
That's it. We can
that-
editorialize, but we do not editorialize the truth. We do not editorialize the facts. We will give you our opinion, but facts don't care about our opinions.
Now, there needs to be room for this type of media,
Mm-hmm.
right? We saw it in the US, right? They made more room for this type of media, Pod Safe Americas and that type of stuff, Midas Touch and that type of stuff. So, independent media is not good or bad in and
No.
of itself. It's different. Like this, does there need to be rules? Is the Federal Debate Commission correct in saying that there needs to be rules to include more independent media?
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yes. Is this, but there needs to be, again, as I mentioned, rules to the game. When you invite someone into your house, you're allowed to set the rules and you're allowed to say that, yes, you can come in. Okay, the Supreme Court says, I need to let you guys in. I
Yes.
cannot just say you can't come in because we don't deem you to be media. Fine. That's fine. If you're going to come into our house as media, here are the rules you need to follow. And if you do not follow these rules, you will. And then there, if they're given a chance and they don't follow the rules, then when their accreditation is denied the next time, it's because they don't comport themselves as an actual media. So if there should be anything we learn from this, is that when you're letting independent media in, you got to have some standards.
Well, okay, you guys can come in. Okay, but we have 5 divisions. Well, hold on a second now. CBC gets 1 reporter. Global gets 1 reporter. They all get 1 reporter. You can't bring 5 people in and say that. You can't do that.
Mhm.
They did. They flaunted the rules, and now I hope they are permanently banned.
Mhm.
And of course, they'll fundraise off of that because
absolutely.
the
Martyr.
individuals who are in the cult and only use that as their sole source of news will never be convinced otherwise.
Yep.
All the lamestream media, the CBC state funded. As a matter of fact, I think it was Sheila Gunn Reid who said, Ezra Levant said something and now the state funded media is surrounding him. And I'm like, please define state funded media. We don't have that in Canada at all. All media gets funds from the federal government, except Rebel News doesn't because they're not a media organization.
Mhm. They say it themselves in court when under oath.
Fox News has also said they're not a news organization,
Yes.
testified in court.
Yes. You can't hold Tucker or us responsible for what Tucker Carlson said. No reasonable person would think that stuff is serious.
Yeah. That's like the guy who was the head of a company, of a beverage company that had vitamin in the title, said nobody would expect it to have vitamins in it. It's in the name of the product.
Yeah.
You can't call a product something and not have that thing in it and expect people to think that it wouldn't be there.
Buy chocolate with 0% chocolate.
But what?
New and improved chocolate.
I believe we call that mocklet. There was an episode of Friends all about it. It has a
Really?
chalky undertaste. The foaming, that goes away after a few minutes.
Oh, I missed that totally. I did not. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was Michael McKean who played the part. It was when, what's her name? Monica was looking for a new job, and he came up with this product called mocklet, and she created all these recipes because she's a chef. And he's like, yeah,
Right.
we're gonna have to discontinue that because it's not allowed on the market. Mocklet.
So, yeah. So hopefully that will be the end of them. Now, there was still more after that.
Mhm.
So Ezra Levant and friends were escorted out of the room. And it would seem that afterwards, there was a bit of a melee near the Liberal bus, which then led to Michel Cormier of the Debate Commission to come out and say this.
Trying to find the link here.
It's the 412.
Yeah.
The link is right under it.
Yeah, I got it here. Wait a second. Okay, yeah, I got the link. Why? Oh, okay. Just give me a sec till I load up the cue points, because it wasn't, the whole video didn't load there for a second.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, it's
That's
just,
what happened.
yeah. So I was like, what is going on? And oh, I got a few minutes.
Yeah. So you'll notice there that also that there seems to be now a concerted effort to try to single out David Cochrane. And I will say one thing about David Cochrane here. I think one thing is pretty much established. David Cochrane is the type of journalist that I get the sense believes deep in his core, right? That there's a duty to us, the public, and that it should not be interfered with.
Agreed.
And he fights for it, and he'll say that shit with his chest.
The Fifth Estate is important to him.
Yes, and he will not back down, and therefore, and he remembers stuff, and he will fact check you to your face. And I don't think the rebel likes that at all.
Of course they don't. It stands in the way of them spreading their lies.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. I'll show you this clip. It's about 7 minutes. Then I do have to go because I'm going to be late. But here we go.
After the French debate, there were scrums that happened afterwards. We are hearing from the debate commission that the scrums tonight have been canceled. So Karina Roman has some more details for us about what we know about this change of plans.
Yes, Adrian, we just heard from the head of the commission, the debates commission, Michel Cormier. He just came into the media room. This is where all the media is, watching the debate and then filing their stories. He just stood at the mic at the front of the room. Everyone ran over to hear the official confirmation of what we had already been told for planning purposes, which is that the scrums with the leaders are canceled. The reason that they gave officially at the microphone was that they didn't feel that they could provide or guarantee a proper environment for the scrums. And this obviously comes on the heels of some unusual scrums last night and a situation last night that I know we've been reporting on, but also tension in the room and confrontations that were happening between journalists. And so once that started unraveling, we started to get word that this was what was going to happen. And of course, there was a scrambling to find out if it was true or not. We did get confirmation, but now we actually got official confirmation from the head of the commission that the scrums are canceled.
So, Karina, do you know what happens now at this point? I mean, will there be an attempt by some parties to have scrums somewhere? What's the plan?
That has not been confirmed, but obviously we've reached out to all the parties and are hearing word that some are interested in still doing some kind of scrum, that in a different location, perhaps not all together individually. And certainly if that goes ahead, different journalists would dispatch to those scrums, but we don't have confirmation of that. It's a fairly just last minute decision. I should tell you, Adrian, that when we were trying to confirm the rumors, we were obviously reaching out to parties. Some of the parties seemed to have heard the rumors and some hadn't. So in some ways, we were telling them what was going on. So they now have to scramble and see, can they find a location and figure that all out at this late hour. And so we need to figure out, and they need to figure out whether that can happen logistically. But if it does, for sure, journalists will go and ask questions and bring that to our viewers when we can.
So, Karina, just one last thought, just because people at home may be wondering, why are people still there then? I presume people are just filing their stories and hoping somebody else is going to go to a microphone.
I don't know how much hope there is, to be honest. I think people feel like they're pretty certain that that's not going to happen. Although there was an altercation between journalists at the microphone earlier. There certainly was one earlier at one of these media tables. And before that, there was another one, because there is a lot of frustration with these scrums being canceled, that cuts off access to journalists who want to ask questions on behalf of Canadians about what we saw in the debate, about points that were raised by the leaders, and now that isn't going to be able to happen, or at least not easily and not here. And so there is some blame being thrown around about whose fault that is to have created the situation and this tension that led to this situation. But yes, people still have stories to file in, whether they're digital or radio or television. And so people haven't made an exodus yet, even if there are no scrums to be held here tonight.
I hear that. Lots of work to do. All right, Karina Roman from inside the Maison de Radio-Canada here in Montreal. Thank you. All right, so let's get back to the substance of what we did here.
Well, can I just pick up on Karina if
please.
I can? Yeah,
absolutely.
There are, just so people understand, there are a series of police officers stationed behind us to make sure that we remain safe and that the media get out safely. There were not altercations between journalists inside the media room, and there was no altercation between journalists that happened on David's set. These were right-wing people that publish their own agenda and websites who confronted journalists inside the media center, who confronted David on his set, who directly and personally confronted me inside the media center. These are people that the commission decided to accredit, and that is where we are now. The situation deteriorated quickly in terms of how those people were behaving inside a professional media center where you were supposed to be doing your job. And that has left us with no scrums and a strange security situation on a night where we should be focused on the things that you want to ask us about.
It certainly didn't look like this
just
last
one
night.
point on that. We are inside a secure perimeter. You have to go through screening processes that involved the RCMP. This set we were on, they came in with bomb-sniffing dogs, searched our bags to make sure everything was safe. That's to make sure the leaders are safe and everybody in here is safe. And for whatever reason, the way this evolved throughout the day and yesterday, the Montreal police are here putting up caution tape, escorting people out. And the leaders of Canada's four parties who were able to participate in this debate, because they, what was the phrase? Didn't feel they could provide or guarantee a proper environment. They're not going to take questions from journalists. And look, I know not everybody thinks it's all about us, but it is an important part of the ritual of elections and democracies and accountability. And it is part of the stress test that these leaders go through as they seek to lead this country, you know, and spend your tax revenue and make laws, and some serious things being discussed here tonight about criminal justice and using the notwithstanding clause. These are all things that require a serious and mature debate, not financially motivated stunts. And this is where we've ended up in this election. With everything going on with Donald Trump and everything going on in this economy and everything going on in the world, this is where the national Canadian election debate has ended up. And it's just exhausting. And it is the end product of multiple years of rage farming for narrow political gain and financial benefit for a very small group of people who blew this up today.
And Canadians, as a result, don't get one more rare opportunity to hear the leaders answer questions.
It sounds like, and to Karina's point, it sounds like the NDP there is going to hold some sort of scrum tonight, probably around 9:45
at his hotel.
At his hotel.
Yep.
Others may choose to do the same.
Do not say which hotel,
I know.
because it'll create a security incident.
But it does, you know, the scrums are intended to follow up on some of the things in the debates, right? To ask more pointed questions about things that maybe didn't get full answers. And so unfortunately that is not going to happen tonight, but I understand that.
So nailed it. And David Cochrane said that what we've been saying for the last 5 years, it was nice to hear somebody in legacy media on the public broadcaster come out and say it.
Finally.
I don't think I've heard anybody on a public broadcast, well, nobody on CBC, obviously, but I don't think anybody on a major legacy media organization come out and say that before. And he said it with his chest last night. Tonight's show should be very interesting. I don't know if I'll be able to see it because I'm as everybody knows, I'm looking for work. So today is going to be a very busy day. If I can help you this afternoon and do something this afternoon, sir, I will, but I will keep you posted because I do have a lot on my plate for today.
Yes, absolutely.
I just wanted to let everybody know that Mademoiselle Fox returned last night from her sojourn and came by last night to have a visit with myself and Ms. Lola. And Ms. Lola was out of her mind, like going crazy. Like, I'm like, oh God, we're going to break shit. Nothing got broken because it's her home. So she'll jump around and go crazy like a little dog would. Get the zoomies in my apartment. There's not space for zoomies in my apartment for an 85-pound doggo, but she did it. And there was a moment last night where we were sitting on the couch, and most of the time Lola was just cuddling with Bridget. And there was a moment last night where Lola got up and went to get some water, and she came back, and Bridget and I were cuddling on the couch, and Lola sat on the end of the couch and was letting us know that she was upset that Bridget was cuddling with me and not her. I'm not kidding. And we both looked at one another like, I've never seen that before. I go, she's upset with me that I'm occupying your space. So I had to move over to let Lola sit between us so she could sit there with her mommy. It was quite adorable. Anyway, I got to go. I have a lot to get to today, and I hope to join you this afternoon. I don't know what time I'll be available. What time did you want to?
I'm available at your convenience.
Okay, so I will let you know what my schedule is like, how things are working out. If I have the time to jump on for a bit, I will. It's not looking super positive for me right now, but that could change. That could change. I'm thinking I could do from like 1. If things work out, I could do 1 to 2:30 or 2 to 3. I have to be out at 3 because I have somebody else I have to meet with. So
okay, listen, I'll start at 1.
Okay,
and if you're able, pop in.
Sounds good. That works for me. All right, folks, you take care. Remember, democracy is something you do, and pay attention to Mr. Cochrane and what he just said, because we've been saying it for 5 years now. And finally, somebody in mainstream media, legacy media, came out and said it with his chest. And, sir, from one bald man to another, I salute the hell out of you for that. Take care. I'll see you later.
Bald men need to stick together. Oh, man. Jeez. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Kids and cubs. So, I'm going to be I've taken over the controls, I guess, here. So let me take a second here to bring up the file that we are looking at so that I have stuff for you. There we go. All right. So yesterday, as we mentioned, since we're still on the subject here, there was an interview with the head of the debate commission, Michel Cormier, yesterday. And like I mentioned before, it was extremely, extremely unsatisfying as someone who cares about this type of thing, right? I think I've mentioned more than once now over the past little while that anything that interferes with the public's right to cast a fully informed vote is something that I have with which I take a huge issue. And this is one of the reasons I've been a big fan of David Cochrane since he's been taking over, because one, when he does an interview with someone and someone says a fact, he doesn't forget it and then let the next person come on and spew something that is not correct, right? He retains it. He'll say, but this happened. He'll do fact checks live on air. He'll fact check people when they're there and not just at the end of a segment, right? So he remembers facts and brings them back. He doesn't treat each interview as it is in isolation and disconnected from anything that came before or any knowledge that we've acquired before. And someone who does that is definitely, as I keep on saying, committing journalism in this case, right? They're taking their duty to inform and making sure that actual verified, vetted known to be true information gets through, and when somebody's trying to give you something that is not that, they will tell you that that is not that and remind you of what it actually is, because they learned it in their previous research and it is still true. So the thing with Rebel, probably, I infuriated might be generous, although there's probably some people that were infuriated, definitely was concerning and did not sit well, left a bad taste in the mouth of actual legacy journalists. So how would I put it? When I heard that Mr. Cormier had agreed to come on the show and give an interview, I was quite surprised, because I'm not sure. Like, I'm sitting there going, do you understand the grilling that you are about to get right now? So I'm not sure that that's the case. But yeah, when people in politics, particularly the conservatives, like to talk to you about elitists, right? They just tarnish it on, they take that brush and they use it on everyone. This might be an actual case of someone who actually is one. And with that, kits and cubs, I am going to switch this and let you listen for yourselves. Please enjoy. Oops. Maybe it would help if I had a little volume. There we go.
That have faced criticism from candidates and from viewers. It started with the choice to move the time of the French language debate up by 2 hours, from 8 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. to accommodate the Montreal Canadiens hockey game, where the team was fighting to earn a spot in the NHL playoffs. Now, they won that game, thankfully. The decision to change the time was made just one day before the debate was set to take place. Then, on the morning of the French debate yesterday, the Commission announced its decision to uninvite the Green Party from participating, due to the party failing to meet the requirements to qualify for the debate. And last night, the post-debate question period was dominated by right-wing media, leaving little room for other outlets to ask leaders about their platforms. And today, the Green Party co-leader Jonathan Pedno says all of this demonstrates why the Commission should resign.
Well, yesterday, Rebel News was allowed by the Commission and the instances that are to go and do its own show after the debates. But the Greens, apparently, according to the Commission, were the ones who would have disrupted the debates. I continue to think that the Commission made a significant mistake. It attacked democracy. It did not follow its own rules and caved in to political pressure. And just like many other people today, I think that the only reasonable and honorable thing for the Commission to do would be to resign.
Here to respond to all of this is Michel Cormier. He is the Executive Director of the Leaders Debate Commission. Mr. Cormier, thank you for joining us here today.
Nice to have me.
The Greens say the Leaders Debate Commission is making a mockery of democracy, and this is why you and the others should resign. What is your response to what Mr. Pedno had to say?
Well, I don't think we're making a mockery of democracy. We had a very successful debate last night. We're reaching more and more people every time. And, I think what we actually put on the screen is actually paramount. So we'll take stock of all these issues after the debate and do a report with recommendations like we do every time.
Take stock of all of these issues, but walk me through the decision-making process to disqualify the Greens the morning of, because I know they had to meet the 90% candidate threshold 28 days before Election Day, so around April 1, give or take. By April 7th, we knew they did not meet that threshold. Why wait until the morning of the debate to disqualify them? Why not do it once it was clear they'd fallen below that benchmark?
Because we didn't use the Elections Canada list.
Sure.
TD Easy Trade has partial shares now?
Darn.
Whoa. Hey, everybody!
My bad, kits and cubs. I forgot, unlike Mr. Grizzly, I do not have the thing that skips the commercials that insert themselves automatically. Oh, darn. Yeah, that's something I should have counted on beforehand. I am so sorry. I forgot that, but here we go. Back to the actual clip. I'm gonna that might happen a couple of other times, and I apologize in advance for that.
Works is that we asked
below that benchmark.
because we didn't use the Elections Canada list.
Sure.
You know that. But the way the criteria works is that we ask the parties to submit the list of candidates they have chosen and endorsed to run in ridings. These candidates are not yet and have not yet registered with Elections Canada. That happens a week later. So on March 31st, we had from the Greens 340 candidates chosen.
No,
And
I understand.
we thought
I
they
understand
were.
how they got in, but
Yeah.
then what then was the tipping point for them to get out?
Well, the tipping point is that, Mr. Pedneau said in statements that they had actually retired at least 15 candidates from ridings for strategic purposes. And according to us, this was a breach of the intent of the criteria. And, we thought we could not let the Green Party in because it was going to put in doubt the credibility of the debate.
Okay, but did you quantify the number of ridings that they left vacant for strategic reasons? Because you could take 10, 15 candidates out of the mix for strategic reasons and still be above the 90% threshold, right?
Yeah, but there were
So
there were almost 100 already under the threshold.
Right, but here's where I'm struggling. If, say, April 1, they had met the threshold by giving you the names, but then a week later they had not met it, they were 100 short a week later. You didn't make the decision to kick them out until yesterday, or at least announce the decision until yesterday, based on the statements on strategic voting. But if of the 100 they were below, how many of those were strategic voting? Because they could have just taken 5 or 10 out and still met the threshold.
Well, we didn't make those calculations. We took them on their word that, the candidates, the difference between the list they showed us and the one they submitted to Elections Canada was based on good faith reasons. People who didn't manage, had paperwork problem or didn't get the signatures, these things can be justified. And we couldn't actually verify that. But as soon as the leader came out and said, well, we actually cooked the books, in a sense, then we couldn't live with that. And that's the decision.
The Greens have told us, and I don't know what they've told you, that not all of the 100 candidates were for strategic reasons. Some of it was good faith reasons, as you described it. But without knowing exactly what the quantities are of the different cohorts of reasons they didn't make the threshold, how do you know that it was a bad faith attempt by them? Cooking the books, as you said.
Well, because Mr. Pedneau said publicly in 2 interviews, we've actually decided to, after we've chosen these candidates, to not run them in the ridings, take them away for strategic reasons. And for us, it's the principle. It's not the number of seats that are involved. That was the tipping point.
Okay, so then why did it take right up until the morning of the debate? Like, was that when you first heard of these comments? Because they had been said at least to Radio Canada days before that, as I understand.
The day before.
The day before.
But we have to render a decision that is also reasoned and is, we also asked them to actually respond to what they had said and explain to us what had happened. That took the rest of the day, and then we have to write this decision for it to hold water. It has to be a serious exercise. It can be just made on the spur of the moment.
Okay, so this was the controversy before the debate.
Yes.
There was a controversy after the debate.
Yeah.
What did you think of what we saw in the question and answer session?
Well, just to tell you, we tried to actually, we denied accreditation to Rebel Media both in 2019 and 2021 because we didn't consider them to be actually to do professional journalism.
Right.
But they went to court and we lost the 2 injunctions and we had to let them in. So this time we decided we could not risk another defeat in court with the precedents that were out there. We couldn't win. So we accredited the number of Rebel Media and they went to the microphones and asked questions. They put themselves, I guess, strategically to do that, and that's what happened.
But you gave it may be inside baseball, so people at home understand. Each media organization that was accredited was told they were going to get one pass to ask a question. Yeah. Rebel was given 5 because through whatever reasoning, they've convinced you that they have a bunch of divisions that qualify for admission, and they were given 5 passes. And then after the fact, other media organizations were told they could have up to 5 questions. Yeah. Correct? Yeah. How is it you've let Rebel set the standard there on the number of questions? Like, you can let them all in. I understand you have the court precedent working against you there, but one question per organization, like the CBC, we could argue we have a bunch of divisions provincially, and the Sun Media could argue the same thing. But we were all initially told 1, and then you gave Rebel 5, and somehow they became the standard for everybody else.
Well, it's because we were afraid that we would lose that battle in court. And the last time we lost that battle, we had to accredit 11 Rebel reporters. So we thought with 5, it's a number we can live with.
Okay, so I know the past precedents, but like this is a filing with Elections Canada from this election where Rebel News has filed as a third party advertising group. They are raising money in their own documents for partisan political activities. That's not what a journalistic organization does, right? So I appreciate that you've lost in the past, but if they are raising money to run ads to influence the outcome of an election, surely a judge would look at that and say, this isn't a journalistic organization.
Perhaps we didn't get there.
But why not? Like, I understand you lost before. This is a material change in their conduct. They have this truck going around with a video wall promoting conspiracy theories and allegations, mostly against Mark Carney. Let's face it, like we're showing it there. You can see this on the screen. That is one of the few things we can show on TV that appears on the side of that. I mean, this looks like evidence in a court battle. I mean, you are entrusted with this authority. Why not fight for what you believe here?
We showed them in the last lawsuit doing political advocacy, and it did not convince the judge. So for us, this agreement, this argument was not going to be more effective this time.
You argued that they were raising money as a third-party advertiser.
Saying that they were doing advocacy against political candidates.
But registering as a third party in an election campaign is an official step to become an actor in that election campaign that goes well beyond the world of journalism, right?
Well, I wasn't aware of that.
Well, I mean, journalists have found this. I mean, the commission has staff, right? The commission, I just wonder how you could not be aware of this, or why you weren't aware of this. You have a legal team. Were you advised not to fight it, or did you just decide not to fight it?
Welcome to Oxio, the place where you can search down every...
All right, so as I get over that commercial there, so yes, as you can see, right, really just exactly, Kit James is there. This guy is so weak. We lost one court fight before, so we were afraid of losing another one, so we chose not to fight. That's obeying in advance. Fight. Well, last time we lost, we had to let 11 in. So you let 11 in. I'm guessing it wasn't a positive experience. So this time you didn't fight, so you only allowed 5. But you didn't change any of the rules or the organization as to the scrum, thus creating a situation where they could use it strategically to crowd the mic. So you dropped the ball. You just let them in, and then your responsibility stopped there. You did not reorganize the rules of the scrum in order to prevent what you probably suspected was going to happen by the fact that you didn't want to allow them in the first time. You just said, oh, fuck it. And then you washed your hands. Right? He was asked a question like this, and he turns around and it's like, he simply says, yeah, perhaps, yeah, well, it was a third party asking about the third party thing. Well, perhaps, but we didn't get there. And that's it. Perhaps we didn't get there, but what we put on the screen was good, so. And then, of course, he's asking, like, well, why didn't you get there? Like, why did you not know that there was a third-party organization effort that was feeding the other thing? I mean, we're able to find that. Did you not do a little background search at all in any way, shape, or form? before you gave the accreditation. So this was all basically, we lost before, we thought we were going to lose again, and well, you know how they are. So we just decided to roll over instead. This guy's not strong. He can't really lay out the justification. The thing for the Greens that he was talking about before, he couldn't even solidly lay it out there. Right? And here's the thing, as far as I'm concerned, for debates, because a lot of this mess has been existing for quite a while now. When the Greens came up and they were trying to find ways to keep the Greens out, and they were changing the rules all the time. Then finally the Greens found a way to be in, and now they're changing the rules. They're still doing this, right? It's like, if you have a seat in the House, if you are a party with a seat in the House, you should be invited to the debate. It should be that simple. There should be no additional extra qualifications. Now, in the case of an upstart party, like the Greens were, like the PPC is, that's still looking for their first seat, then you can have the criteria of, X amount of support in polls and planning to run X number of candidates in X number of seats. And you still have the question of the bloc in this case, right? If that 90% rule in all of seats in Canada applies to all the parties, then why does not apply also to the bloc? Right? So there's no consistency in these. And I'm not saying that the bloc should be excluded. A lot of people think that it should be. I don't, right? It has definitely enough support. At one time in the polls, it was looking like they might actually have a chance to form the official opposition again. And there are English Quebecers, and they have the right to hear from that party as well. So I have no problem. And when you take how much the concentration of their vote, and when you separate it throughout Canada, it still is more than 4%. They're there. I'm fine. I have no problem with that. Right? But then that should also apply to the Greens. You don't necessarily have to have. Right? So it's 2 of the 3, it seems, was the rule. And they said that the Greens didn't meet the 4%, and the Greens didn't do the thing on the candidates. But it wasn't on the 4% they let them off. Right? Really, it was the candidates. And it doesn't seem to be anything other than, well, we felt they lied to us, so we cut them. But there's no real investigation, just like there was no real investigation into what Rebel might be up to by asking this. No will to fight, no attempt to fight. They just rolled over and let them in. And then once they let them in, did nothing to ensure that the scrum would not become a circus. It's a complete dropping of the ball. And then in this interview, he's not admitting any wrong. But we find out soon after this that the rules for the scrum have changed. So if the rules of the scrum have changed, there's no follow-up questions, and the questions are limited to 20 seconds to allow more people to ask, then clearly there was something wrong that happened last night, right? You don't adjust the rules. But he won't admit to that. All right, kids and cubs, let's continue. I'm going to maybe back it up a little bit so that the part was cut off. There we go.
In an election campaign is an official step to become an actor in that election campaign that goes well beyond the world of journalism, right?
Well, I wasn't aware of that.
Well,
why?
I mean, journalists have found this. I mean, the commission has staff, right? The commission, I just wonder how you could not be aware of this, or why you weren't aware of this. You have a
Here again, he says, I wasn't aware of it, and says nothing else. Like that's supposed to be enough. This is someone who's clearly doesn't feel that he has a duty to be answerable to anyone, even though his job is the chair of the committee that's supposed to organize an event, the main purpose of which, the sole purpose of which really, is to allow us as citizens who vote to be fully informed when we go and cast that vote. And all he's got is, well, and that's supposed to be enough. Unbelievable.
legal team. Like, were you advised not to fight it, or did you just decide not to fight it?
No, we were advised that we couldn't win that case.
Right,
if we went to court.
But you didn't have, like, do you
We
think,
did
would
not-
this have changed your thought process, I
Well,
wonder?
Perhaps we had to analyze it. I just learned about this today.
So we had issues last time with some of the questions that were asked after the 2021 debate, and you saw what happened last night. We have no idea what's going to happen tonight. I mean, are we going to see a replay and a repeat of this? Because, you know, I know it is first come, first serve at the mic. The rest of us are on the air or, you know, working, filing stories, and can't just line up in the microphones to get at the front of the line, which is what has happened. I mean, the minute the doors open here, a lot of these media organizations went in, set up, they are right there ready to go. What are we going to see tonight? Will there be more control on this?
And there will be measures taken to try to be more fair for all the media organizations. We have like 60 different organizations, not just political journalists who actually cover usually the campaigns. So we're going to make adjustments to hopefully make it, well, you'll learn them soon enough.
Well, I mean, I think people, what do you mean learn them soon enough? I mean,
No,
in the moment after the fact, like,
we're working on this. They'll be ready for the scrums.
will they be able to do what they did? Like, you know, Rebel News got as many questions as I think CBC, Radio Canada, Press Canadian, and CTV or Global combined last night. There were almost 50% of the questions, and some of them ventured into territory that really are not issues in this election campaign, were not issues in that debate. And I'm not saying reporters should be restricted in terms of what they ask, but, you know, if the debate commission is going to organize these things, it didn't seem to have control on it last night, sir.
Well, we were learning from what happened last night, and you'll see, hopefully, a fair representation tonight.
But didn't the same thing happen in...
Again, that really insufficient answer. Well, we're doing it and you'll see. This guy is not the guy for this job. Clearly, this guy is making the case for firing the entire commission, just killing it and starting new with something else, because this is not it.
Hopefully, a fair representation tonight.
But didn't the same thing happen in 2021? Like, I remember vividly at the museum in Gatineau that the same sort of thing happened with people stacking the microphones and the questions is going in a totally different direction.
Well, there's only so much we can do to control free speech, you know.
I understand that.
And you got to understand that.
But, you know, lifeguards got to look after the pool, right? And you know, the debate commission was set up for this, and people are now calling for it to be completely scrapped because of what we saw last night. I just wonder if you think there's a loss of public trust in the function of this organization.
I think the public will judge us on the debates themselves.
Which I will say was very good last night. It was very well done. The actual 2-hour event was.
I think we'll be judged on that. That's the main criteria for us, to present debates that actually reach a lot of people. We have unprecedented reach, broadcast partners. We're reaching people in communities that are often disenfranchised. I think that's a very important exercise. This is peripheral to the main event. And, you know, like I say, we'll work on it and try to make it.
Well, is it peripheral or is it part of the main event? I mean, you do the accreditation, you let the people in, you set the ground rules. I mean, it is all part and parcel of what's happened here.
It is, but for most people, the press availability, excuse me, after is not the most important thing.
Fair.
So we bank on that.
Okay. Michelle Cormier, I appreciate you. I do appreciate you showing up and taking the questions. I very much do, sir. And thank you very much.
Least I can do it.
Former journalist, I know you appreciate the importance of doing that.
Totally.
All right. Thank you, sir. So Michelle Cormier with the Debates Commission.
So, Kits and Cubs, show of hands. Were any of you satisfied by this? Well, what happened on the screen, the actual debate that you brought, that was good. So why are we talking about anything else? Seriously. And as David Cochran mentions, you do the accreditation, you set it all up, you recreate the space, whatnot. It's like, you're the lifeguard, you still have to protect the pool, right? Oh, we just care about those 2 hours. The rest of it, wow. That's amazing. And yeah, I'm seeing you Kits there when he said perhaps we didn't get there I got Lindam going. They chose not to get there. Bloody hell. Looks at Kid James. This guy is so weak. Indeed. Absolutely. Yep. Here we go. Kid Frank, definitely the latter. That guy is spineless. Kid playing with 3D. Wasn't aware of that? Do you live in an isolation bubble? Kid James again. Whenever you choose fear over principles, you've already lost. Yeah, that's, I think, can't remember which former president said that those who would trade freedom for security deserve neither, or something. Kid Cat W, they should be gone and investigated. Kid J Crick, grow a pair. The audience here is definitely not enjoying this at all. There's also a precedent now where Rebel was declared to not be a media organization and doesn't meet the definition on the commission's own website, Kitlindam. Yeah, so the commission could have denied them. There have been other things since that court case that have been happened, other legal decisions that they could have relied on there, and not just their own personal one-on-one with them. Go Kit Empty Nest Gardens. Oh my God, I'm a bit behind, but my God, that commission needs a better lawyer, and also we need a new commission. Kitabi G, unforgettable damage done. Canadians cheated, not good. Again, the kids are on it today. Kid playing with 3D. Look at how well rolling over worked out for the US. Mr. Jim, why doesn't PP get this treatment? Well, PP doesn't show up. There's been no conservative MPs that have shown up on Power and Politics to be interviewed by David Cochrane ever since he was became host. They won't send them. Kid Jillian, fear is their weapon because it is effective. Solidarity is necessary to withstand it. Kitland here again. The whole point of having an independent body overseeing these debates is, quote, make debates a more predictable, reliable, and stable element of federal election campaigns. They didn't meet their mandate, and they haven't been meeting their mandate since they've been established, which is a shame. Yeah. Kitabi G. Unfortunately, it will be the CBC that gets slandered on the right-winger social media. Yeah, probably there. You might be correct there. Oh, wow. Yeah. He was stunned at that answer. Yeah, the David Cochrane a couple times was stunned, right? Just, really? That's it? That's all you're going to give me? And here's the thing, when you're an interviewer, the worst type of interviewee is someone that does this type of thing, right? And it's like, oh my God, like you were on that movie set and you had all these special effects going on, all these people like this. I mean, it must have been a really exciting time for you. You never did an action movie before. You know, all you did was period dramas. How did you like that? It was okay. But surely your co-stars and everything, there must have been some experience. Yeah, I have good memories. That's the worst kind of person to interview because you're like dragging everything and you're trying to create flow and whatnot. And like this guy is just not having it. He's not saying, he's saying as little as possible in order to have as few avenues as possible. So this is a situation when I keep on telling you, even when you're trying not to communicate, you are communicating something. This Michel Cormier guy was speaking volumes by how tersely he was answering these questions. This is not a man that likes scrutiny or accountability in any way. Kid James, he's in over his head. Kid Carol, you have one job. Body language is loud. Kid Tabby G, you could see him shrinking and shriveling every now and then in that chair. So yeah, just get you. This sounds like Sinclair territory. It's difficult to get a man. Hope he is updating his resume today, says Kit playing with 3D. Kit Tabby G. They were protecting the puppet from being questioned from reputable journalists. So yeah, again, Lori Sue, he's pretty damn inexcusable. So I guess Kits and Cubs, you guys definitely see this. We got some comments here from Kit Martin. I was discussing this issue with a lawyer friend of mine. Here are his comments. The debate commission has to answer for this odious display of extremism, but the Green Party knew the rules in advance. As for those fascist so-called journalists, it continues on somewhere. I do not see it just yet, but I'm guessing that there's a part 2 to that. There we go. Those fascists, so-called journalists, have to be outmaneuvered by using seniority or some other criteria in terms of who's in line to ask questions. There are some good suggestions there, Kit Martin. Absolutely. So yeah, Kit Carol, they didn't do the work behind the scenes. Indeed. Oh, Nona's given the hand. You don't want the hand. You definitely don't want the hand. The hand is no good. Yeah, here's a good suggestion from Kit Hugh. Perhaps debate should be organized by Elections Canada according to a law. At this point, I would have no problem with that. Same thing with party leadership races, to be totally honest. Kit James, that guy should have one job, mending birdhouses. Ouch. Harsh, but fair. Very, very fair. Stupid Q, but who pays for the commission? I have the impression that we do. I believe it's an arm's length organization to government, but that is definitely ours that we cover. Don't take that to the bank. That's just my best guess here. And Kit James with some love for Nona there. Italians do it better, as the saying goes. I got that. If anybody remembers the Madonna Papa Don't Preach video, at one point she's standing there. She's got a T-shirt that says Italians do it better. All right. And then there was there one more other little thing with Michel Cormier at some point? Yeah, there was. There was another manifestation of his ability to be charming and charming and forthcoming. And it came about the time where he was making the announcement that the scrum would be over. So, as you see in this press interview, and I was incorrect, he did seem to hint that there would be changes. So he wasn't really acknowledging that there was anything wrong, but that he said that there would be some changes. But then again, right, he didn't have, well, you'll just have to wait and see. In other words, we're still working on them. So what are the odds there that maybe they weren't actually working on some changes, but the grilling had become so bad that he just said that on the spot, and then they tried to find a way. And then they went back and said, okay, we got to change something. We're taking too much heat. We're all going to lose our jobs here. And then the changes that they tried to make didn't work. So then they just said, we're going to cancel the press availability, the scrums. Again, probably, I do not know for a fact that's what happened. But again, right, I tend to look at things like basic human behavior. Yes, I'm a little cynical. As much as I try to be positive and optimistic, I am a little bit cynical. But I try to, predictable human behavior. That's what we do when we're in communications, right? What do we expect these people that we know to do based on track patterns that we know, assuming that past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior? And how can we pre-counter that or pre-rebut that in how we're shaping the message the first time going out? This guy is now going to announce to the press that there will be no scrums. So this is CBC reporting on that after it has happened. All right.
he hit it home. I want to go to a big development, I would argue, tonight. This is the decision by the Debates Commission to cancel the news conferences, the scrums with the leaders that typically happen immediately after, or certainly happened last night. And just a reminder to folks, the Debates Commission is an independent body. You see CBC logos here everywhere. That's because CBC produced the debate, transmitted the images, but it is the Debates Commission that is in charge of who's on that stage and who asks the question. So I want to throw to a clip of the commissioner inside the media room. The audio is a little tough to hear, so crane in there, but the reaction to what he says is not.
I'm sorry to announce that there will be no scrum tonight with the leaders, because we don't feel that we can actually guarantee a proper environment for this activity. Alors, comme je viens de dire, I invite you to call the campaigns if you want to express.
This is your one job.
Okay.
All right. So before we get into the commentary, again, you see, he just walks up, announces it's going to be done. Then he's asked why, puts his hands up. I don't know. Nothing. And then just slowly walks off, all small and tiny and slow. And you hear the journalist like, you had one job. This is a guy that did not fight at all. I just, oh, so damn frustrating. All right. Keep on going with the reaction here of the journalist. And again, one more time, you will see what I mean when I say that David Cochrane feels this to his core.
One job.
Okay, so if you couldn't hear him, and totally understandable if you couldn't, he basically, Michel Cormier there said, there will be no scrums. And then people were unhappy. Your thoughts on what's going on here?
Yeah, Mr. Cormier said that they couldn't guarantee a proper and safe environment for the media. That is because the commission allowed people who are not part of the media, who are right-wing activists, to come in that room and act as though they were members of the media. It made for a very fraught environment, and there were a number of conflicts that led to the fact that this is where we ended up tonight.
Well, look, I don't want to litigate the specifics of it all, but I just want to say democracy is fragile. It's not guaranteed, and it has to be fought for and protected, not just on the big moments like leaders' debates, but on all the small moments in between. The rage farming that has gone into politics is corrosive, destructive, and toxic, and it is disrupting the norms and the values of civic virtue in this country. And if boiled over tonight, temperature needs to come down.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thank you both. Rosie, we're going to see you again.
Sorry, I didn't notice I was on mute. So sorry there. That Kid Some Cubs is a journalist who commits journalism. Right? We need many, many, many more David Cochranes. Many more. Listen, you will notice before that also that Adriana Arsenault made the point of saying that CBC produced and transmitted this. So you will also note the irony here that Pierre Poilièvre is on these debate stages for debates that are only made possible by the fact that there is a CBC that exists to produce and transmit it, and that rebel media that often also claims that the CBC should be defunded or should not exist or whatever it is, so that there could be room for only their voice, participated and benefited from the work of the CBC by staging this in order to pull their latest grifting stunt. What are they going to do when the CBC's gone, really? They say it shouldn't exist. They say it's terrible, but they sure do love using the CBC's product, though, don't they? Yeah. Politicoon. He looks like he just doesn't give a damn. Lori Sue. He's unqualified. Yeah. Indeed. This is, for quality, this is not it. This is just not it. I expect better, right? One of the reasons we started doing this show is because we found that there weren't enough people like David Cochrane who would fact check people in real time and who would do interviews and pick up a new fact and integrate that fact into their knowledge bank so that they can use it to make their future questions better. Who didn't stand up that much for the profession this way. So we started this venture, and we wanted to bring more media literacy and political literacy and then civics literacy and that type of stuff, and put it in a package that would be informative but also hopefully a little bit entertaining, because this can get very preachy very quickly. But there are moments, right, that come up where you have to stand for something, man. You have to stand for something. And we haven't been seeing that a lot from our media. We know we've seen it a little bit in this, election campaign where, people are talking about the pen and from the pen, but they're not breaking out of the pen. They're not saying, you know what? Fuck y'all. You will not tell us how to do our jobs. Or you will let us do our jobs the way that we've always been doing our jobs. Right? They are still agreeing to play the game. It's like Laura Babcock said. It's like, there's no way you would have kept me in that pen. So we're a little too obedient here. There needs to be a little bit more good trouble, as the expression goes, on this. Media has to start standing up for itself. And I know, and they're right, nobody in Canada likes to hear media go, oh, poor me, like this. But this is different. Right? This is different. This is organizations mobilizing, coordinating, weaponizing the justice system against us in order to be able to directly interfere with our right to know, our right to ask, our right to have our questions answered. The media represents us. They ask our questions. They ask the questions that we can't show up to ask ourselves. So when Rebel does stuff like this, right, what Rebel is doing is they're interfering. They're literally putting their body in between you and your right to get that information that you are entitled to, that you pay for, particularly from CBC, our public broadcaster, but any of the newspaper outlets that receive any type of subsidy that you pay for, making use of the public airwaves, which we all own. And they are using that and they're weaponizing that to make sure that you cannot know. And worse yet, not only that you cannot know, but the only thing that you are entitled to know is what it is that they want to tell you. That thing from Madam Rebel on that first day was a literal hijacking of the scrum to try to make it about their issues. These people do not realize and do not function in society according to the concept. It is never going to always be about your issue. They want it to be about them 100% of the time. And it just can't be that. And somebody needs to start standing up to it. We need better rules. We need better laws with regard to protecting the right of the citizen to cast a fully informed vote and the right of the citizen to know what it is that our elected representatives and Fifth Estate are doing on our time and our dime. We are entitled to know that. There is a duty to report and be accountable. And we are not getting that right now. We are just not getting it. Get blamed with 3D. How can they not be charged with election interference? Because probably our laws are not written assuming that the call would be coming from inside the house. So maybe the law doesn't even exist yet. But we need some rules. We need some laws. We need some regulations. It needs to be among one of the highest crimes with regards to betrayal of public trust, to do anything whatsoever to get in the way of a citizen's right to cast a fully informed vote. Elections law needs to be changed. If you are a candidate, you need to show up at candidates' debates. You have to. Right? We need these types, we're going to need laws that say that, yes, a media organization cannot be accredited unless it's willing to meet certain criteria. We probably need to define in law more strictly what is an actually not just a media organization, but an actual journalistic organization. Because there's a difference between journalism and media. There's a difference between information and infotainment. And even within the field of infotainment, which we would consider ourselves to be, in this case, there are still the people who do infotainment with focusing on making sure that at least they're getting the information right, whether or not they're entertaining. That's up to you to decide. And then the people that just don't care about the information, that choose the information itself to be entertaining. But it's not informative. We need standards. We deserve better, and we're allowed to insist on standards. And once we have them, we're allowed to insist that they be adhered to. And right now, we don't have that. We just don't. Got to get Hugh, and on this show, we love teachers, as opposed to the Conservative Party. Education is based on good information. Indeed. Democracy needs laws, handoff, third-party regulation based on standards various parties can't mess with. Yes, we also need better rules for third-party organizations because in certain places, politicians try to place some rules to make it such that they cannot participate fully in the democratic exercise. So there needs to be ways for third parties to do that, and probably, again, better standards as to what is a third party. But for those who don't understand the concept, and this is why this is difficult with, there's a glitch with Ezra Levant, is that third parties have to absolutely register if they are going to advocate for or against a specific candidate or for or against a specific policy during an election period. Well, a rebel exists to do that. It is a media organization with a point of view that advocates for certain political parties and certain political missions. And now there's the side organization. And the material from one is used to feed the other. And with one, they're guaranteeing themselves third-party status to intervene like with that truck going around advocating against specifically Carney, a candidate, and then taking video and capturing it and writing news articles about that and all that kind of stuff, and then putting it on Rebel News for content. And the same person owns both organizations, if we are to believe the reporting from Stuart Benson from the Hill Times. That's not on. There ought to be a law. So again, I would love to see, after all this debacle and this debates, again, any party, first party that comes out with a platform on increasing civics education, increasing the ability of our media to do investigative reporting, to bring us true reporting, to keep these types of agitators out of legit press rooms. There's better libel laws to go after the specific type of misinformation and disinformation that they do, the type of character assassination they do over months and months and months of time. We need a party that's willing to run on that. Hopefully, we'll get it. But yeah, boosts to civics education and all that kind of stuff, because we need a much more media literate population. Finland has a great program for that. Finland has a great program. We could probably learn a lot. But we need to equip the population to be able to spot disinformation and misinformation and not handle it. And then we need to work on the supply side of it too. Oh, man. Yes, indeed. Can't wait to watch Cochrane's next few shows, says Kit Kat W. I agree there. Kit Hugh, again, civics needs to be mandatory senior full credit high school course. Yep. I would definitely not disagree with that. All right, Kits and Cubs, I've talked your ear off for enough for now. So I will end this one, and I will ask you to join me a little later this afternoon, where we'll be able to actually go through the debate sections for those who want an analysis of the actual debate in proper form. Yesterday and today shows were supposed to be that. I just want you to know they were supposed to be that. I was going to go through the debate. I was going to take clips. I was going to say, this is what, where they scored and what another person scored. And this is the information that you need to know. But the Federal Debate Commission so messed up their one job, so screwed it up that they became the story. And I think you will agree, Kits and Cubs, by this information that we've presented and bringing you all these pieces from all these places and putting them in the timeline of the order that they actually transpired and took place. Will give you a sense of just how coordinated this campaign has been to make sure that you can't know. This campaign to make sure that they're bringing that toxicity that was evident in all those questions that they asked on that first night, right into your living room. All these loaded question topics that are designed to pit one group, one segment of the population against another. Like this, and to force our politicians to say, why aren't you taking the side of one group over another when the job of a politician is to govern for every fucking body? These people want politicians to pick sides. So I'm all in on one side, thus creating the schism that they can exploit. And when they don't do that, then they attack them for being too weak or not being a real supporter. Right? That's how you get into this conversation that everybody that isn't as 100% pro-Israel as is Pierre Poilièvre, a member of the Conservative Party of Canada, is somehow an anti-Semite. Because no nuance is allowed. Right? You can't be concerned for human life in general. You got to pick a side. some lives are expendable. But if you do not believe that, then you're pro-genocide. That's as simplistic as the thinking gets. And it's all loaded and charged emotionally to make accusations that serve to put you on the back foot, start on the defensive. And of course, in politics, when you're defending, you're explaining. When you're explaining, sorry, you're losing. These are concrete, direct strategies. A lot of it is extremely abusive. But there are actors in society who are very clearly trying to ensure that there is no such thing as journalism. And there is no such thing as an actual fact. And if everything is unknowable, and if everybody is corrupt, then the person that has the access to the airwaves is the best place then to look into your eyes. And if you remember the Jungle Book, the snake, look into my eyes and trust only me. It's extremely snake-like behavior. We can't stand for it. We can't have that. Not if we want to keep on having a democratic, pluralistic society where many of us who have different beliefs coexist and treat each other decently and are stronger because of our diversity, not weaker because of it. There's some people here who do not want that to exist, who do not want that to be the reality, and we need to fight that. This is why I'm encouraging you all to go out and vote and to bring people with you. We have an opportunity to reject this movement with a very, very loud voice, a unified, loud voice. We have an opportunity to send the message that this type of politics has no market here. But we've got to get together as a nation and we have to send it. All right. Kids and Cubs. Wow, I got on a little rant there. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because, well, we love making this for you. This one's a little rougher. I'm not good with what happened. I think you can tell in my tone, in my voice, in my delivery, but I am not good at all. And again, this is whether you love Watch Us or you hate Watch Us, right? There's a certain movement for which we prefer that you do not vote. But even if you do, we want you to go out and vote. And we want you to cast an informed vote. Now, if what they're selling is literally legitimately what you want, eyes wide open, and you know you're voting for it, listen, I don't understand your vote, but more power to you. And I'll defend to the death your right to vote. This is about something bigger, right? This is not about us versus you right now. This is about all of us together. Because whatever your beliefs are, even if they may be different from mine, I am sure that just like me, you do not want to be taken for a sucker. You do not want to be played. You do not want to find out 5 years later that someone took advantage of your willingness to believe, of your trust. If you are listening to these people, and again, we're not haters, we're just trying to tell you, these people do not have your best interest at heart. They do not have your best interest at heart. So, we hope that you love listening to us because we needed to make this one for you. It's probably more appropriate. Remember, kids and cubs, that caring is sharing, and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. It's very helpful when you do, and we appreciate it greatly. Yeah, there you go. Jay, get out and vote. I was getting a little intense there, so yeah, nice compliments always help. Thank you, miss. Loving my supermodel hair. You flatter me. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. All it takes is a little compliment, a little flattery for your queen to turn the mood and bring the sunshine back in my voice. Okay. So we did the sharing is caring. Please tell everybody you know about us. If you are listening to us and you are a Canadian who's very, very busy because you got things to do, right? Saving democracy and feeding your family and holding down a job and volunteering in your community and all that kind of stuff. So maybe you have us on the go. So if you happen to listen to our ears only version of the show and you do not want to miss an episode because you're not subscribed yet, well, hey, you don't have to worry about that anymore because we got you covered thanks to the Ray Girl. If you scan that QR code that just appeared on the screen, or if you are listening, make sure that you take some time to go to podpage.com/thetruenortheagerbeaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And there you will see a button that's called subscribe. And if you just give it a little click, well, just like that, we come directly to you. You don't have to go searching for us at all. We know where you live. No, we don't know where you live, but we do know how to get our podcast into your podcast feed. So, God, I feel like I need somebody dancing beside me. Anxiety, anxiety. Somebody's watching me. Oh, love it. Okay, but seriously, we come directly to you, and we thank you for subscribing because it means a lot to us that you choose to spend your time with us because your time is precious and valuable. Now, if you would like to help us in other ways, kids and cubs, well, maybe you need to take a surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page where the damn fam hangs out on this morning. The mornings for our shows. And over there, if you go, you will see 3 buttons. One's called like, one's called share, and the other one's called subscribe. If you click on them, hey, that makes us feel real good. We need some validation. So, when we see the numbers, it makes us feel nice. But most importantly, it helps us with the algorithm and gets the word out that we exist. So we thank you for that help as well. Now, of course, as you know, if you've been around here for a while, we do incur a couple of costs trying to bring the show to you, and we do ask for your help if it is possible. We know that times are tight, but if you do happen to have a little bit extra lying around and you do want to support us because you find what we do has value and it resonates with you, and you would like to offer an enthusiastic expression of encouragement for us to keep on doing more, and in the process, fight the scourge that is dry beaver, well then, you just need to make a little visit to our coffee page. That QR code that just appeared there will bring you right there. But if you're listening, that's coffee spelled ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. And there you will find the emergency hydration fund. And if you leave a couple of coins in there, well then, your beaver goes from this to this. I'm just being silly right now. But we appreciate everything that you can do to help us with the show. We are very grateful for your support. We really could not do this without you. And because of you, we've grown. So thank you immensely. If you are not able to contribute financially, as we mentioned, because times are tough, please do not worry, because the gifts of your participation and attention are the ones that mean the most to us. And we are so grateful for them. But we like to hear from you. So please write to us. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com is our email address. Let us know what you think. Again, we like to do a Q&A show. So if you have some questions about politics in general, and you would like our views and our take on it, or even about how the show runs and operates, please send them to us. And when we get enough of them, we will put together a Q&A show and answer your questions. So think of it as we take requests. type show. But you need to send us an email to truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com with your question. And once we have enough of them, we'll put on a show. We thank you so much for your participation in this effort. If you want to write to us in other ways, at True Eager on our socials, the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, and on the Jitter is where you can find us. On Facebook, True North Eager Beaver, which is our original home on the web, or if you're listening on your YouTube channel, either live with the Damn Fam right now or later on, right here in our comment section. Leave us a little something. We do read everything. We're not able to answer everyone. And all of your comments get factored in and help make the show better. And it is your show too. So please do communicate with us. And we appreciate it. We appreciate it very much. Also, our email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, is the address to send us a direct bank transfer if you would like to support us that way, because you want to buy Canadian. When you do that way, you go directly through your bank and you avoid the US-based CE bros from PayPal and that type of stuff that take a cut, and from YouTube on Super Chat that take a cut, and it comes directly to us. So we get 100% of your donation, and your donation is 100% Canadian, and it doesn't support the US tech bros that are peddling the disinformation that is being used against us. So if you would like to do something that's win-win-win, you can support us that way. We thank you so very much. Because democracy is something that you do, kids and cubs, remember that if you live in La Belle Province de Quebec, you have a Liberal leadership race coming up. The results will be in June. Please find out everything that you need to know in order to be able to participate in that. If you are in Manitoba, the Progressive Conservative leadership race will deliver its results on the 26th of April, which means you have until the 22nd to get your ballot in, which means you have to do it really quickly because we are the 18th, and it in some places the postal services, I think the 18th, Good Friday, is a statutory holiday for the postal service, if I remember correctly. So hopefully you still have time to get your ballot in on time if you haven't yet. And of course, we have the federal election. Now that the debates are over, kids and cubs, there is time to vote. Early voting is officially open, starts today at 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. for the next 4 days, including Easter Sunday. So please go and vote there. I believe if you're on a military base, I believe today and tomorrow are your last 2 days to vote for that. If you are an acute care facility, the polling stations will be coming to you between the 20th and the 22nd. And until 6 p.m. on the 22nd, you can go and vote at your local returning office. You'll have to know the name of your candidate because you will have to write it down on the ballot when you go there. But they do have the signs up there with the name of all the candidates, so it's not like you have to know it before you go and then try to remember it. It'll be there. But you will have to write the actual name rather than just marking an X in the circle this time around, because it's a special ballot, right? But all of that is available to you. So please do that. Plan your vote. Talk to everyone around you about being excited to vote. Let them know that we need good turnout this year. And if you can, have a little voting party, right? Invite your friends, because friends don't let friends do democracy alone. So have a little voting party, go out and vote together, and then maybe go have coffee and dessert, and have a good chat, and spend some quality time together, especially since it's the long weekend. And if for this long weekend you are spending time with family, I hope that your time together is very warm and filled with love and laughter, because it's not always about politics, right? All right. Words of wisdom, Mr. Grizzly gave them to you. I do not have any additional ones other than this is the time, Canada. Right? This is the time. Your vote. That's your voice. Don't surrender it to someone else. Make time for it. Okay. Kids and cubs, it can be a tough world out there. So please, please be kind to and gentle with yourself. It means a lot. And you need to do it because, hey, charity begins at home, right? All right. And now I am going to cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com,
their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster. Hot pepper sauce is made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
I'm on mute again. It seems that the mute turns on automatically when I'm doing bumper stuff and I forget. So, kids and cubs, Easter egg, a little bit of Canadians who make us proud. I did make an error and I was very gently corrected by Linda. I hadn't thought that Team Canada versus Japan game had taken place yet at the World Women's Hockey Championships, but it had, and Team Canada won that one rather handily. I believe it was 9-1. Now it's the semifinals coming up, and Team Canada will be playing Team Finland next, and that will be on the 19th at I believe 1 p.m. Eastern time, if I'm reading this correctly. So hopefully we'll be all around the TV doing our patriotic duty, cheering for our very, very fierce and talented women's team. Go Canada, go. Let's make it happen. A couple of other things, kids and cubs, to be proud of with regard to our Canadians. Again, our athletes, wonderful ambassadors for Team Canada and for Canada all over. One thing that came out, a little bit of news, is Olympic champion Jennifer Heil, who is the first Canadian to I'm not sure I'm trying to remember now. That was Alex Bilodeau, who was the first Canadian to win a gold medal on Canadian soil, but an Olympic gold medalist. She has been named as the chef de mission for the Winter Games team that will be going to Milano Cortina. She says, sport is definitely one of the best ways to showcase our national identity. I feel more pride than ever to be Canadian, and I just feel really lucky and fortunate to get to elevate that pride on the world stage and within Canada. She won gold at Turin in the women's moguls, and in Vancouver 2010, she took silver in the same event. Yes, and that was the thing, because she had won the first medal for Team Canada at both Turin 2006 and Vancouver 2010. That's when she won the first gold of the 2006 games. That's what I just remember. Not the first gold on Canadian soil, but the first gold at Turin Games. And Alex Bilodeau was the first one to win an Olympic gold on Canadian soil. It's actually a little known fact. Canada is the only country in the world to have hosted an Olympics and not won a gold medal at their home games. And not only did we do it once, we did it twice. We did it in Montreal and we did it in Calgary. So when Vancouver came around, well, then we just decided we were going to win all of them because we had been polite twice already. Because if you remember the Vancouver 2010 games, we actually finished atop of the gold medal table, and that went after the Own the Podium program. So, but yeah, Jennifer Heil still giving back, which is absolutely fantastic. A great ambassador for sport in general, for her sport, yes, but for sport in general, and an excellent choice as chef de mission for Team Canada there. So yeah, in mountain biking, Canada's Jen Jackson finished 4th in the women's cross-country Olympic World Cup race at the second leg of the UCI Mountain Bike World Series in Aracha, Brazil. She completed the race in 1 hour, 27 minutes and 36 seconds, finishing just 3 seconds back of the podium. So a good results there promising results. And then in artistic gymnastics, Shalon Olsen just missed the podium at the FIG Apparatus World Cup in Osijek, Croatia, where she finished 4th in the women's vault final. She's a renowned vault specialist, and she averaged a score of 13.566 for her 2 vaults in the final, which left her 0.2 back of the bronze medalist. So close. But again, a very positive result and a lot to build on. So there you go. A little bit to cheer for. Wanted to end the show on a little bit of positive news because it's been a little heavy, right? So, kids, please join us back around 1 o'clock this afternoon, where I will hopefully have some segments from the English debate, maybe from the French debate too, and we'll be able to do an actual debate itself recap show so that we can go through some arguments for those who wanted to do that. Again, I apologize we did not do that this morning, but as you can see, there was a bigger story that came along. But we do want to do the debate portion. So, hey, I have no problem being a busy beaver and doing double duty for you today. So join us a little later, okay? All right, everyone. Have a most beaverific day, and I will talk to you later.